Wonderful. So I try to move myself a little lower. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to see you all. There's a lot going on. And today I wanted to talk about something that I call staying with yourself. And so this kind of staying with yourself is, it's like, it's not like, we're forcing ourselves to suffer. It's more about being truthful with what is really here. And this staying with yourself allows you to be in touch, right? Just to be in touch with what's really happening. And there's no judgment because everybody experiences different ways of staying with themselves or not staying with themselves during challenging times. So we're going to just start with that. So I'll set the intention as we sit together. May it be with the blessings of the divine that we cultivate peace for ourselves and others. Through our practice, we are healed and reside with the divine that illuminates us. By living in peace, we bring peace to the world that surrounds us. Amen. So just kind of right now, just check your first chakra grounding right there at the base of your spine. Just taking a breath and notice how your first chakra and your grounding are connected. Just see if you can kind of sense that attachment or that connection to the root that grows all the way down to the center of the planet. And having the intention that this root is a way for you to connect with the earth. And then your spirit's connection to your physical body. And then it also works in a way that gives you what I would call psychic support. Just the way a tree root gives energy support to the tree, right? A tree root. Without that root, it would fall over. So you having this root as a mental construct, and that it serves you. It serves you, gives you support, and it also gives you a way to release energy. So taking a deep breath. So taking a nice deep breath. And this time, letting that breath flow all the way down the grounding. Releasing whatever is ready to be released right now. And one more breath. In through the nose and exhaling through your mouth, just letting it go. And go ahead now and just envision a golden sun above your head. Beautiful golden globe of sparkling divine light. And just invite this divine light to fill you up with the intention that whatever this talk and meditation brings you serves you for your highest good. So there's a lot of difficult times happening, not just in the US, but also in the world. And Simin reminded me about the war in Iran. And so, during difficult times, what happens? And it could be a personally difficult time. It could be a globally difficult time. But what can happen is that we lose our inner equilibrium, right? So adversity can bring like anxious or fearful, angry thoughts and feelings, even actions. But adversity can also make us feel small and powerless. And, that feeling of we can't help ourselves, we can't help others who are suffering. So everyone deals with adversity in their own way. And the way some people deal with adversity is with hardness or reactivity. Other people shut down and withdraw. And, there's a whole spectrum of ways that people deal with it. Some people kind of go into a revenge mode, I'll show you. And other people go into avoidance mode, right? Like, I'm going to watch Netflix for 2 days. And it's not that anything is bad. It's just that it's helpful for us to know how we leave ourselves. Because if we can learn to stay with our truth, then the way we walk in the world is reflective of our truth, if that makes sense, right? So, so it's not about good or bad. It's about awareness. And what happens is that when you can learn to stay with yourself, then that inner resource, right, becomes your support. Your ability to stay with yourself becomes an inner strength in facing any adversity. And I was listening to an old rabbi. He was awesome on, I think it was on YouTube, and he was telling the story about a lobster. And he said, how does a lobster grow? And I was like, what's he talking about? And he was saying like a lobster will outgrow its shell, right? But before it outgrows its shell, it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. And it's like in there just kind of shaking and feeling terrible. And so then it goes, hides under a rock, molts, loses its shell, and grows a new one. And so what he was saying is that if you can withstand that difficulty, that time where you're feeling suffering, that is an avenue, that's a way that we grow. We grow a new shell, we become whole, we become new in a different way. And I love that story. So that kind of inspired me to talk about learning to stay with yourself. It's a way to grow and become who you really are as a human being in this life. So when we move away from ourselves, right, that's when we kind of lose touch with our best or right action. This is when we can act out and then really regret it later. I have many stories that I will not share with you from my own misspent youth. Um, and and so sometimes, especially when we're acting out, they can feel very satisfying in the moment, right? And we might say something or do something, but it's actually in the big picture, it's not in the best interest of you or others. So what this practice is, this practice of staying with yourself, what you're feeling, it's really about, I would call it like a gentle abiding. So for example, if you're in a stressful situation like that lobster, right, and you're feeling not very well because of what's happening, and you feel anxious, a lot of anxiety comes up. And our general mode is to run away. And who wants to sit in anxiety, right? People will turn away from whatever's coming up. So it could be hurt, could be a broken heart. It could be anger because your boss mistreated you. And there's all these different ways of turning away from what you're actually feeling. So it could be hurt, could be anxiety, could be fear, and just learning. So that's what we're going to meditate on today. Doesn't that sound like fun? So it's not about fixing it. It's simply being with it. And then what happens if when you like whatever it is you're experiencing, that is what you're experiencing. So being able to be with it without judgment, right? How many people here judge themselves if the feeling is not positive, right? Like we don't feel good about being the angry person or being the jealous person or whatever it is that's here. So it's like forgiving yourself and just being there because we're humans, and allow the showing, whatever is showing, allowing it to be seen and be heard. It is trying to teach you something. Guys, ready? Let's go on a little trip. So just check your grounding after I've been talking about all this yummy stuff. And take a few deep breaths in through the nose, exhaling it out. And so notice, what is a challenge for you? What is in your life that is challenging for you? Could be a personal relationship, could be political events, war, could be like the loss of a loved one. And it could also be an event you have no control over, but it really affects your life. And whatever that challenge is, just call it in. Just notice it. How do you feel about it? Let yourself feel it. And notice if your thoughts immediately go to, oh, what am I going to have for breakfast? Right? That's a way of distracting away from what is really here. So just allow some space. So from wherever you are, just bring your attention into your belly, your lower belly, below the belly button. And what is here in relation to your challenging or difficult situation? Could be survival issues like fear of dying, or it could be like a feeling a lack of resources. You could feel a lack of support. What are you feeling here? And notice, how do you like to leave yourself? Maybe like isn't the right word, but what comes up? Because it's almost always like a spontaneous thing. It's less of a choice and more of a habit of dealing with adversity. I think I mentioned some things like Netflix, social media. I didn't mention alcohol or food, right? So how do you leave yourself? Where are your thoughts going? And for some people, it might not even be a thought. It might just be you feel sleepy, you feel heavy. Just give that a breath. Let it be here. Notice what's happening inside of you right now. And notice what it's like to just greet what is here, giving it a breath, allowing it, and just let it know. I see you. I feel you. I'm here. And then taking another deep breath, and this time with the intention, you're just going to release whatever's ready to be released. And it's for some people, it's helpful to make a sound. And the sound of the belly, I feel, is kind of a ooh sound. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling with a ooh, kind of a deep lower belly ooh. And again, deep inhale, exhaling with the ooh, ooh, ooh. Now start to bring your attention up into your chest, your heart center. And what is here in relation to your challenging situation? Do you feel heartache, sadness, loneliness? But what can also show up here is anger, rage, hatred. What's in your heart center? How do you leave yourself here? Some examples: shopping, talking to friends. Some of us create a story that make us feel better. Be aware, how do you leave yourself in your heart center? For example, I have a friend who always longs for a lover when facing a challenging time. He turns away, runs away from whatever issue it is by seeking companionship. What's in your heart center during challenging times, and how do you hide from it? Or what makes you, or how do you make yourself feel better? What's it like to actually stay with the challenge, the feelings that come up around the challenge? And again, you might notice you feel heavy, or you feel sleepy, or thoughts come in, distractions. And that's all natural and perfectly fine. And honestly, sometimes we just need those 2 days of Netflix. But having the awareness, right? This is how we know ourselves. So take a nice deep breath. Exhale. The sound the heart makes, a sigh. And letting it flow down the grounding. There's nothing wrong with longing for a partner, and it becomes exacerbated during difficult times. But if you know, if you understand that perhaps the intensity of that longing is actually rooted in a way of staying, like, in a way of staying far from yourself. Yeah. Because then you might make different choices if you do stay with yourself, especially around that longing in the heart. And as you breathe and ground and stay present here, just want you to notice what else? What else shows up? Now bring your attention to your head center. And in relation to your challenging situation, what shows up here? I think for a lot of people, it can turn into obsessive thoughts or circular thinking. But also, do you get like tension? Do you get a furrowed brow? Do you start remembering the past insults or past hurts, reasoning, trying to find a reason? And just notice what's in your head. You might start to notice some pressure. How do you leave yourself here? I knew a lady who was very anxious, and the repeating thoughts that she would have is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But if it was somebody else's issue, she'd be like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And just notice, do you have like a pattern in your head around your challenging issue? Making plans and getting caught up in the details is another way of moving away from a challenging issue. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we need to have plans, but what we want to be aware of is if we're doing it to get away from being uncomfortable. Taking a breath here, and the head kind of a higher pitch, so you can even feel some of the vibrations. So more of a hum on the exhale. I know that sounded like a foghorn, but what you want, it's very interesting how when you breathe out and you do that kind of higher pitch, it actually changes the vibration in your head. Yeah, humming works too. So just check in with yourself and notice your belly, your heart, and your head, and what it's like to be with whatever uncomfortable feelings you have around the issue. What's it like? Especially now that you've breathed through some of it and grounded, released. And give yourself a moment, shake it out a little bit. Just move your body, let go of whatever's ready to kind of come out. And the reason why I put that in is because all this energy gets stuck in your nervous system. And it's one of the best ways to also address staying with whatever's here in a physical way. So just that gentle shake. And as you do that and you settle back in, check your grounding and bring in a big gold sun, great big beautiful golden sun. I want you to just notice what else is here. What else shows up? And then we're going to meditate together in silence for 10 minutes. Notice if you've floated away and just gently call yourself back. Just be present. And it can help to just focus on your lower belly with your breath. And just start to sense yourself. Notice the weight of you in your seat, your sits bones. Sensing your hands and your feet. Start to notice any sounds. Let the sounds coming to you. And just gently open your eyes, letting the light and the images come to you so that you are in your own center. Envision another big gold sun big, beautiful golden sun filling you up. Just and as you do that, just set your intention for the month. What would you like? And we'll close with a short bow. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn the recording off so that we can have a Q&A if anybody is interested.